Caring about conservation is caring for our land. We conducted a series of producer interviews throughout Pike, Jasper, and Montgomery counties in Indiana to discuss with farmers why they have adopted conservation practices and the benefits not only they see, but they see on their land.
I'm Mark Kingma. I farm in northern Jasper County, pretty much right up against the Kankakee River and south about, 12, 15 miles from there. We've been doing conservation tillage, basically no-till, for over 30 years. Back from the early mid-'80s, we started with it and never really looked back. We've incorporated cover crops for probably the last 10 years at varying levels of cover crop each year, just depending on the weather. We started, my first year we did 40 acres, the next year we did 400, and the year after that we went to as many as we could get. We've done about 1,500 acres of cover crop in 1 year is the most we've been able to plant, which is about roughly 2/3 of what we plant.
We've been all no-till since, I'd have to get the exact date, sometime in the mid to late 80s. So that's something we've done for a long time. And over the last 10 years, we've gotten a lot better with cover crops. Hoping to get to a point where we're using cover crops on every acre and reducing our fertilizer and chemical inputs as low as we can. We've got full field plots. We've got saturated buffers. We've got a lot of different practices that we've been trying to implement. So that'd be another, I guess, one. That water quality is trying to make sure there's something to buffer that surface water runoff. So there's not really any streams that we farm to, or we haven't tried to maintain some sort of buffer.
I was born into farming, same as my dad. He used to run 500 head of cattle on here every year, fatten them out and get rid of them. Had a 7-year rotation back then. I guess they'd do corn once in that period. So they were doing lots of legumes, clover and stuff like that before they would do the corn. So they were doing what we're learning now back then. We probably got away from that over time. We got away from having cattle and kind of getting back into it.
We started cover crop first. We're at a point where we needed to buy a new planter, and we could either buy another used one or go brand new with all the attachments, and we just decided that we needed to change some things, so we made the decision to go no-till, kind of cold turkey. We experimented our first year, and to be honest, we didn't have good success with our first year. We did some things wrong that we found out about that next winter, what we did wrong, and we just decided over the winter we're going to go full tilt into no-till, and it's really worked out well for us.
We've gotten away from tillage. We'd use tillage to try to heal the erosion, things like that, ruts from the harvest. Cover crops helps take care of all that stuff, helps to heal the erosion. I don't think we've hooked a disc up in 7 years or better. No tillage, chase the combine as quick as we can, planting cover crop, try to keep the soil armored and a living root all the time.
We're trying to be really targeted with everything that we use, whether it's fertilizers, all variable rate, with soil sample every on a 3-year cycle. And just, we have our own spreader, so we spread every year where we need it. So we're trying to keep, and with that, the cover crops, we're trying to retain that, make sure that all that fertilizer gets held onto and cycled into the back into the soil where it's usable. And the idea is to use as few inputs as possible to raise the best crop we can. And an ancillary benefit of that is trying to keep all the nitrogen and phosphorus and potassium out of the watershed. the precision technology we have now and all the different chemical packages there are, it's so much easier than it used to be to control weeds and to have good stands.
Kind of on average, that's saying $25 an acre savings on nitrogen, which is pretty big stuff. Less weed pressure. We got a lot more mulch, so your seeds are all getting ate. Your weeds aren't germinating, so hopefully soon we'll be seeing less chemical usage. We've probably cut out a spray application, at least in soybeans, having cereal rye on them.
No-till cover crops that I feel are very important to the watershed. The more, first we were doing them just simply to have something on the ground. We were starting to learn more and more about soil health and conserving moisture. In our area, we've got sandy ground, and with it being tilled, it would tend to blow. We were looking at cover crops as we were getting more and more weeds that were a problem. We were looking at cover crops as a way to help with our weed control, and it has drastically. But then the soil health and the just the water holding capacity of our fields has been an amazing turn that we didn't expect, and it's really helpful.
My advice to anyone would be it's not that big a deal, and the yield losses I think are minimal even in a first year conversion. That gets brought up a lot, like that's a thing, and it's not. It's we can take a farm that's been tilled and make it better almost immediately through no-till and cover crops. And so, yeah, I that's the $1 million question, is how everybody knows about it. So how you convert those who know about it and just decide not to. I would tell them to pencil it out on the economics of fuel and tractors and horsepower, and it makes a pretty significant argument on itself before you look at any environmental benefit.
Dollars probably talk louder than anything, getting them to see that this is saving you money on fertilizer and less time. It's everyone's worried about money. You got to make it. If you can't make it, you can't make good food. You can't have healthy crops. So if we can show them it pays, maybe they'll pay attention.
I think that as far as the educational and the implementation side, people can come down to their local soil and water or district, NRCS district, and there are a lot of programs out there to help people that really do want to have some sort of change in it.
It doesn't take much to try it. Actually, we took the first year, about 10 years ago, we took a payment of $40 an acre, $35 or $40 an acre for the first year. We liked it well enough that I didn't take that payment anymore, because I thought, if that's good for my fields, I need to make it work on my ground. And that was when we really got into it.
I worked off the farm for about 5 years and kind of figured out that this is what I was born to do, It's just where I fit.
This video was created as a final project for the Indiana Watershed Leadership Academy. If you're interested in learning more about any of the topics discussed in this video, please reach out to your local Soil and Water Conservation District, Natural Resources Conservation Service, or your County Purdue Extension.